But we were doing the Supreme Court as an extension of QBuild, or of the Government Architect's Office.
Right.
And the first one was had, I forget his name.
District Court.
Yeah, the District Court had. He went down to South Australia. Anyway, it was in charge of. It was chief architect, and we're an extension of there. And then in the Supreme Court, we're again an extension, and it made quite clear that was our position, that they would take over client liaison, and
but not design.
Not design, but the principles of design. Yes, we had to. We're a specialist arm of the government, and I think one of the troubles with that building, we had a huge problem in the Supreme Court in actually having an organised client relationship, and the clients wouldn't have a relationship. They were too pure and mighty to bother to talk to an architect. And Wally Campbell then took it on himself too. So we never really had a client group. The government, through their ways, got the instructions or the approvals and did the briefing.
There were 3 components to that, as I remember. The District Court got done first.
Yes.
Who would you say was the design person responsible for that building? Was it you, or was it somebody in the firm?
No, it was me, and working with this fellow from the principles of the striated facade were pretty much worked out with this architect who went down there. Went down to South Australia.
From the government?
I forget his name.
Or from your firm?
No, from the government.
Was he in charge of the?
He was in charge, and he was a hands-on.
I think I know who you mean, but I can't think of his name either.
Yeah.
Who had some real skill.
Yeah.
And then came the major building, which is the Supreme Court, which was is quite different.
Yeah.
In many ways, but got done some years later. And then there was the Magistrates Court, and I worked on that with Don McNiven.
Yeah.
And Don McNiven had come into the firm from that Catholic firm, I can't think, that did work at Nudgee and...
Don Hugh Cusick and Edwards, or...
No.
Anyway.
Come to me.
Yeah.
But, and I mean, Don seemed to be working pretty much on his own on that project, and I was kind of watching. But
yes.
Is that how those you saw it, or was there some kind of master plan about all this, how that group of building was?
Well, there was a master plan, and that's how this thing eventuated. And the Magistrates Court was over here, I think.
Yeah, well, it was where Adelaide Street came eventually through the site, and it never got built.
Yes, and then they put that through, and the street was extended, which made this whole plan defunct. So that was all.
But what got built doesn't look like that either.
Oh no.
So,
no.
What did get built? Who would you think is responsible for the design of the building that did get built? I mean, it's
well, me.
Right. So, and you're responsible for both those buildings.
Yes.
And the third one, if it had happened.
The third one was moved off to another site. The Magistrates Court is up opposite the railway, around the street railway station.
Well, yeah,
that's where it went, but at some other time.
But I mean, as far as Don McNiven, I mean, did he have a role in determining what that building was to look like, or did you already have an idea about what that building was going to look like?
I had that. At the back of my brain was Meyer.
Mm-hmm. Because he was using images of the Boston City Hall and sort of doing drawings that were kind of based on that inverted ziggurat concrete with
I'm not familiar with
big
that.
cantilevers, and I know because I made a model of it at the time.
I don't remember that.
And I never saw it go beyond a certain point because I didn't stay there long enough, but I just wondered how these things come about when they're quite different buildings when you look at them as a group. But maybe there
I don't remember the magistrates' court. I know that there was one.
As you're saying, you were looking at Meyer, like Gropius and Meyer, or when you were thinking about the form of the building?
No, in not that one. In the one that's been built, and it's using the same material, but there was so many different functions between the two buildings, and one of the driving things was to keep the floor levels the same, which didn't necessarily work with the bigger courts. And anyway, there are a whole lot of other issues with it.